Hi, I'm Karemmy, and I'm so glad you're here. This is Choices, where trauma and truth collide. This podcast is for parents, foster parents, caregivers, or honestly anyone who is walking alongside a child who has been through severe trauma. And truly, they're seeing all of the issues that come with that, and they want real understanding, real life, practical answers, not just surface level. So here, we talk honestly about what trauma is, what it does, and what actually helps. So with that, let's dive into today's conversation.
I love that you really kind of played out for us the pathway, the typical pathway.
Typical, yeah.
Because it is not the child's fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And finding these pillars, I'm hopeful as we heard about them and that we can identify when to use which one and making sure we need all of them, right? But first felt safety and making sure that we are putting the child also in position to receive.
Yes.
And giving them wins.
Setting them up.
Setting them up for wins. Is there anything worse whenever you ask, a 9-year-old boy, hey, you want to come dunk? No matter how hard he tries.
Yes.
So then why? Why are you trying? Are you trying to be funny?
Yeah.
Did someone make you feel, clearly somebody made you feel some type of way.
Yeah.
You
have a core wounding.
Yeah, you have a core wound and you're not going to core wound my child.
Yes, right.
But, we're hearing all these things, the 6 pillars, all of that. All these pillars, though, there's always, but be careful.
Yeah.
But be careful. I don't want, as we're all working towards building these pillars, what are some things that maybe I realize I'm doing, or maybe even it's pre-conscious or whatever that may be, that I'm kind of hurting myself. Like, what are some things that maybe dismantling, tearing down these pillars that I am working so hard to do?
Yeah.
If maybe there's none?
Yeah.
You tell me.
No, I would definitely say that there are things to really watch for that can, as you say, dismantle attachment and often unwittingly, right? Not even aware that, oh, wow, I did not realize how toxic that was to the growth of functional attachment in your child.
Yeah.
And so I would say I call them kind of cheap imitations for intimacy, and they try to kind of maybe sneak in and satiate that need for intimacy and attachment in a way that the kid's like, whew, okay, now I don't feel a need to attach to a human for a minute.
It's like a hit, right?
Yes,
You got a hit of something.
Yep.
Okay.
And it kind of took the edge off, and now I'm good for a little bit. And I would say there are quite a few, but let's just talk about maybe the top 3.
Okay.
Cheap imitations for intimacy. Number 1, and we sort of hit on this when we were talking about the boundary stones, I would say enabling acquaintances. Now, these are people you probably see regularly, maybe at church, maybe at the child's school, maybe in the neighborhood. Yes.
Yeah.
So enabling acquaintances. And I say acquaintances meaning depth of relationship, not infrequency of seeing them.
Okay.
So enabling acquaintances, these are people who hold like zero responsibility in the trenches with this child, in the trenches of their behavior. So they have zero skin in the game, but they act like they deserve somehow this intimacy and closeness, and they have a lot of input, I'll say. And they're very enabling for the child. And that's kind of the pernicious lie we touched on a few episodes ago of the people who, because the child, by virtue of needing to be adopted, at one point in their life, they were a victim.
Yeah.
And so some people cannot remove that label, and that's a them problem.
Yeah.
That is not your child's identity. And you become really good at spotting these people. They have zero skin in the game. They have zero responsibility in the trenches of these behaviors that I'm sure some adoptive parents are nodding their head watching this of like, yes, I won't even go into all of the behaviors that you are grappling with and struggling with in your home with this child who has been so traumatized. But this person acts like they deserve this sort of intimacy and this closeness. And it almost acts as damaging as an affair.
What?
Sort of like an extra parental affair. This parent-child relationship that you're trying to build this intimacy, this attachment, and they come in and they're very, very destructive. And again, we hit on the fact that the church is rife with these people, and it's so unfortunate that they don't give the child enough dignity to say, you could probably do better than that, or to even give enough respect to the parent to say, something about this seems off, but I'm going to assume the best about you, like Romans tells me to, and believe I probably don't have all the pieces to that puzzle, which is why it's not making sense to me. So stay out of it.
Yeah.
Or if you have a concern, voice it in a private situation, not to the child, not with the child. Now, while this does hijack attachment, I'm not talking about someone intervening when you know a child is being mistreated. That's not what I'm talking about.
Totally
I'm
different.
talking about safe parents who are in the trenches.
Yeah.
I mean, blood, sweat, and tears every day with a child that is giving them a run for their money more than they ever even thought was possible. Yeah. And then the do-gooder comes in and, levels their platitude. It's very, very damaging to attachment.
When you say you're talking about the do-gooder and all of that, and I know that you said that you become very adept at spotting them. What are some things? Like, is that, because from what I've heard, is that someone that's like, oh, it's fine. Oh, don't worry. Your mom doesn't have to. Like, what does that look like? And maybe even I would even venture to say, how can you spot that in a family member?
It's a very obvious posture of, oh,
okay.
poor kid.
After
That's
maybe
so
a parent has given a direction.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's like, oh, you don't get Okay.
Oh, they're really hard on you for making you.
Yeah, even if they don't say it, maybe their verbiage, their body language.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So that I would say would be number one.
I'm still shocked. I cannot get over that you compared it to an affair.
Yeah.
Like a parental affair.
Yeah. Well,
And
anyone that would try to come in between you and your spouse, it's not appropriate. That
Right.
you
That's
don't
true.
belong in there.
Yeah.
And when you are working so hard to attach to this child and to walk them through the discipleship process of parenting and healing, and there's so many variables, and someone would come and insert themselves in that relationship, undermining your place, they're out of order.
Yeah.
They are out of order. I have actually said to someone one time, you know what? She's already been rescued. And so if you're really feeling that pull to rescue a child, I can give you some information that will help you meet many children that could use your help. But I know that they probably have never had lunch with a child in foster care and taken them out and spent time with them, much less bring them into their home. So it was kind of my nice way to say thank you for your input.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So, number two, a cheap imitation that is so dangerous when you're working on attachment repairing parenting is pornography. And we know that sexual connection is such a cheap substitute for relationship. It is the laziest way out of relationship, because relationships are difficult and they require us to give so much input and effort and
vulnerability
love, so
and
much.
Yes.
And so pornography is really, really a dangerous thing. And so many children are so addicted to pornography and those kinds of things. And it's not because they're a creep. They are so lonely. They are so misguided, and things were awakened in them far before they should have ever come to life and to an awakened state. And so you have to be so vigilant with this, with devices and televisions. And I mean, my home, I have all their school Chromebooks are not in backpacks where they could get up at 2 a.m. and go get their Chromebook. I have Chromebooks. They're in my bedroom. I have all the remotes for all of our smart TVs throughout our house are in my bedroom at night. Everybody's cell phones are plugged in my bedroom at night, like all of those things. Not because, again, that's not rigid. That's me saying, I'm going to keep you safe.
Yeah.
I am protecting you from all of the ways that the enemy would love to get his hooks in. So
Yes.
pornography and that cheap satiation and substitute for a real meaningful relationship.
Yeah. What would you say to a parent who maybe has an older kid? You know, they come into their home and like, well, this is just what I do. I have to have my phone. I have to do this. And it turns into a huge fight. At what point do you just let it be for a time, for a season? Or is it something that you're like, no, I need to nip this in the bud right now?
That's a non-negotiable for me.
Okay.
That's a boundary stone. That's a
Okay.
non-negotiable for me in my home.
Yeah.
And that's not something I've ever moved back on.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can see, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And it's so, you know, as you're saying it, it's so evident.
Yes.
You know, you wouldn't think that at first, like, oh, okay, that's just,
Yeah.
but it's exactly what you said. It's a cheap imitation.
Yep.
And it's disgusting how pernicious it truly is
Yeah.
in our society.
Yeah.
But we can look at it as, oh, this is so hard. This is extra work.
Yeah.
Or we can take it as such a
Yeah.
posture of, it's a privilege that we get
Yes.
to protect these kids.
Yes.
When
Yep.
all that they have been
Yeah.
done to them is
And
be
they-
victimized.
And they deserve real relationships.
Yes, they do.
They
Yeah.
deserve depth and not loneliness and isolation and the shame and all that comes with that.
Yeah, and they deserve to be known.
Yes.
And to be accepted.
Yeah.
You know, because then whatever you're breeding then,
Yes.
well, obviously then towards their Heavenly Father.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
if I'm not even willing to talk to, why am I going to talk to someone I can't see?
Yes.
You know?
So good. That's so good, Kay.
So
Yeah.
I know we said 3. Did we do all 3?
Nope. The
No,
last
we have last
one-
one. Anything else on
No.
porn? Okay.
No.
Last
The
one.
last one I would say is, and this is going to sound maybe counterintuitive because I am a clinician, I am a therapist, but the third, I would say top, because there's a number of things, as we said, that could really be cheap imitations that would really come in and dismantle attachment that you're trying to build. The third one, I would say, is a therapist who really doesn't align with the parents. Therapists can be the great triangulators, meaning in triangulation, you have a victim, a perpetrator, and a rescuer. Those are the 3 points of the triangle. And so if a child felt the most safe when they were rescued, the most seen, the most loved, they might, and often do, try to replicate that feeling by becoming a victim where they really aren't a victim. And making people believe. And this is very, very, very common in therapy. The child's giving you a run for your money. You bring them to therapy. You want them to help the child work on these things. And somehow you end up the topic of therapy and they want to tell you all the things you need to change, not sticking with, nope, I am partnering with your parent to help you grow, to help you heal, because you cannot triangulate between 2 points. That's a line.
Yeah.
And so when you have a therapist that is triangulating and participating in that, you will, and I try to avoid using sweeping terms, always, never, those kind of things. But I can solidly say, if you have a therapist who triangulates and does not align with the parents and work on just constantly shoving that child emotionally back toward the parents in the sessions, you will never achieve attachment repair. Never.
Really?
Absolutely never. I would never advocate to withhold mental health treatment or that kind of thing from a child who needs it. But you have to be so darn careful about who and what type of a clinician you allow into your child's very, very private world of attachment, repair, and healing.
Yeah. So how do you even find that? How do you ascertain? You know, when you're meeting with a therapist, you chat with them first, right? As a parent,
Yeah.
you chat with them. What are some good, like, questions maybe?
Yeah.
Give me a couple questions that would be good to kind of, because I think that therapists, a lot of times they'll give the right answers.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't, they're not, it's not going to be obvious.
Yeah.
But what are some questions that can help filter?
I think, what experience do they have in helping a child attach to a parent? I think, what is their view on accountability for the child? Those kinds of questions that will kind of trigger them to have like, well, I don't think we should hold them accountable. And, it comes back to even our podcast name, Choices. Yeah. Where trauma and truth collide. And if they don't believe that the child has a choice, they could never, trauma is the ultimate, has the ultimate say in everything. And so very few questions you could ask and you'll ascertain. And discernment goes a very long way.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to change therapists. You do not have to stick with someone that is not building your family unit, but undermining it. Do not stay.
Yeah.
Do not stay.
All right, well, that's it for today's episode of Choices. Will you take one small step this week? It doesn't have to be everything, just something. And remember, you're not alone in this. We'll see you next time.